sports rigged? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Brock Page here, Sports Picks for Fun. I'll tell you what has been absolutely offensive to Johnny Q public, and that's this notion that the outcomes of sports aren't at times altered towards a favorable outcome. A little wordy, I'll make it simple for you. Why in the blue hell should I not think sports are rigged at times? I get it, bad beats happen, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. But when we get down to it and give professional and college sports the eye test, sometimes things don't line up. All right, now before I go making arguments for both sides of the coin, the one thing that we can't do as people is take anything and everything too personal. I've been guilty myself of doing that. A local pub I used to go to used to mess up my bill every single time I went in that place. There'd be 2 extra beers on the tab. They ring me up for the wrong food order. Anything that could go wrong on my bill did go wrong at this place. And it got to the point where I thought, you know what, these guys are screwing me intentionally. But years later, I realized these guys weren't screwing me intentionally. They had no idea they were screwing me. They weren't messing up my orders with malicious intent. They were merely incompetent. I was misconstruing their gross incompetence as a personal attack. I took their shortcomings personal, and I shouldn't have. They weren't messing up my bill on purpose. They were messing it up because they sucked at their job. So when we're watching our favorite team on Sunday, or any night for that matter, and we see the refs blatantly blowing calls, are we as public bettors taking that too personal? When Pete Morelli misses a blatant PI call 20 yards downfield, is it right of us to take it personal? When Jerome Boger gives his infamous holding number 77 offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down, is he making these calls with malice towards people he has no idea are betting the football games? Or is he making a call into which he feels is valid? The very single solitary second we wager our hard-earned money on any sporting event, we instantly make it personal. And when factors come into play which alter the success of our desired outcome, we immediately label the blame as intentional. That said, I've been just a bit perturbed lately at a small group of guys out there in the desert. They have about 1,200 less subscribers than I do, but they go on 24/7 and really provide a unique product. I certainly consume it on a daily basis. Now, these gentlemen, experts, if you will, have made numerous references this past week of the whole notion of rigged sporting events. Now, as a network providing stats and information for the betting public, you'd think they'd empathize with the recreational player and the overall consumer of their content. However, exactly the opposite was the case, and it was that way multiple times this week on their programming. As a matter of fact, the duo not only brought up this topic out of nowhere, but they also made statements that said anyone claiming the outcome of professional sports to be rigged or influenced at any given time are completely erroneous. Furthermore, they boasted that if you're one of those people who feel the outcomes of games at times are manipulated or coerced, you're crazy and you're not to be taken seriously. Interesting commentary for sure, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure how to take it. Initially, after hearing the duo's rhetoric on the radio, I felt rather insulted for the betting public. The very DJs that rely on the bettors consuming their content are actually belittling them in a very pejorative tone. Long story short, you got to know your listeners. Gamblers are superstitious, and when things don't go the gambler's way, the gambler tends to cry foul. Now, like the years of questionable NBA games about 10 years ago, you guys all remember that guy from Westchester, Dennehy, openly admitting to rigging NBA games and serving punishment for doing so. Not real harsh punishment for corruption, might I add, but it's instances like that which cause the bettor to feel defensive when the officiating in sporting events start to go awry. It leaves a bad taste in our mouths. But with all that in mind, I have to go back to that original notion of the bettor being hypersensitive, taking everything personal when their money's in the game, connecting dots that really are not there. We also had that one instance back in 2008, NFL Week 11, Chargers-Steelers in the snow at Heinz Field. Steelers kick a field goal with seconds to go, puts them up 11-10. Chargers get the ball back on their own 20 with 5 seconds left. Rivers throws a short pass. There's a series of laterals. Polamalu from Pittsburgh bats one down, picks it up, and runs it into the end zone for a touchdown with a dead clock. Makes it 17-10. Pittsburgh covers the spread. Refs him and haw about kicking the extra point, determined no PAT to be attempted. Then, incredibly, as teams are shaking hands and the commentators are wrapping the broadcast up, the referee nullifies the touchdown on an illegal forward pass, which never occurred during the play, by the way. Now, the direct effect of that referee's buffoonish decision did, in fact, impact the betting lines. The sports bettor is certainly going to correlate the two. But was that official's grossly pathetic, incompetent decision merely a casualty of coincidence? Same thing with the roulette wheel. It's amazing how you can hit your color for about 12 spins in a row, only to have your croup go on break. They bring in the crafty veteran who's been spinning the ball for 50 years, and he just pounds the double zeros. Coincidence, math, or coercion? I mean, there's like a 0.02% chance that you'll hit your color 12 times in a row in your lifetime. Did the math finally catch up? Was this just an isolated incident? Or did the croup that dealt roulette their entire life have absolute ease putting the ball wherever he wanted it on the wheel, thus making you lose your profits? How about in the dice game? When they change the stick man or the die go out? A 7's always going to come afterward, right? Or the guy that takes 30 seconds setting the dice on the hard 8 in hopes of controlling the dice and hitting the hard 8 exactly the way the dice were set before he threw them. As gamblers, we openly give credit and put blame on whatever we so choose, regardless of who or what's responsible for the outcome. The little white ball doesn't know what 0 is, what double 0 is. Red, black, first dozen. The ball bounces off the back diamond, drops down, and might bounce around a little bit. But it is eerily coincidental how the guy on the 8-hour shift goes to lunch and they bring in the new guy who's just so happening to be pounding the 0, 00, 1, 2, 27, and 28 with incredible consistency. And the dice don't know they don't know when they roll out a play. They certainly don't know to fall on a 7 if you don't use the same dice. But are we giving too much credit to the guy dominating the game with an abundance of 6s, 8s, and hardways? The man is good, no doubt. But are we overexalting the guy that painstakingly sets the dice with complete precision and an absolute perfect pendulum-like stroke, only have the dice hit the back wall and completely scatter in opposite directions? My main question for my loyal subscribers is this, and I ask you guys this because all you guys shoot it straight with me, and I respect you for it. You never hold back, you never sugarcoat, nothing. Were the sports betting enthusiasts I spoke of earlier wrong for ridiculing the sports bettors who think the game isn't always pure? Or are these guys in the desert who are scoffing at the skeptics actually coming from a place of concern? Are these gentlemen the voice of reason? And do they have the listener's best interest in mind? I sure as hell don't know. That's why I'm asking you guys. But one thing I do know is for sure, you guys all shoot it straight, and your comments are definitely the answers I'm curious about. All right, guys, that is going to do it for me. But before I get out of here, I have to remind you that I'm not a sports betting expert. I'm just a fan. For some reason, you decide to use any of the information on my programming. You're utilizing it at your own discretion. You know, good ain't free and free ain't good. And what's my line again? Forget my line. I say it every... Good ain't free and free ain't good. For some reason, you don't... Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe. Do it responsibly. Yeah, if for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. I forget my line. I've been saying it for 500 videos. If for some reason you decide to use the information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, and most important, have fun. For Brock Page Productions, I'm Brock Page, and have a positive day. Wow, what a broadcast. Keep it stiff.